Talk more broadly now about the end of furlough and the potential impact of all of that. I'm joined by Jonathan Cribb, Senior Research Economist at the Institute for Fiscal Studies. Jonathan, morning to you. So what are the key challenges, do you think, facing the labour market as furlough ends? Looking at this both from the employee perspective, as we just heard from Gemma, and of course the employer.
Well, regarding the employer perspective, I think there is one key challenge, which is the fact that we have lots of vacancies now in the economy, particularly clustered in particular sectors, heavy goods vehicles, food and accommodation. But those vacancies are also becoming more widespread among other sectors too. So for employers, getting the right staff in the right places at the right times, it does seem the key challenge. We have this slightly funny situation that at the same time, some employees are going to be, unfortunately, losing their jobs as the furlough scheme comes to an end. We don't know how many that is, and we don't know, but we do think that is fewer than was expected at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I guess the fact you're saying you don't know how many people will be left out of work, the government is saying the same thing. That reflects the continued level of uncertainty in the economy. And as Ben was saying a few minutes ago, whether employers can make ends meet.
Yes, and I think that the challenge actually is at the moment is a kind of an unequal recovery across the country, and potentially surprisingly, the region that stands out that doesn't seem to be doing as well is London. We're used to London doing extremely well. It's the highest paid region, had very strong employment growth pre-pandemic, but more people are furloughed in London than average. More people have been made redundant over the pandemic than average in London, and they've been struggling to find new work, those who've been made redundant. And the vacancy growth is smallest in London. So all of those things do focus a particular challenge for the capital, whereas lots of parts of the rest of the country do seem to be doing better relative to London.
The other group that you've identified at the IFS as facing particular difficulties are the over 60s. Talk to us about your research on that particular group.
Well, the over 60s have always been more likely to have been furloughed compared to kind of middle-aged people, say in their 40s or 50s. But what's really happened is that kind of the young people used to be the kind of group of concern. The number of them furloughed is collapsed as they've come back into work, and we've seen lots of recent school leavers and graduates getting new jobs too. So it's quite a good picture after a very difficult pandemic for youngest workers. The oldest workers, the key challenge is it does seem that quite a few of them who've lost their jobs are not kind of in the active search for work phase. They've kind of what economists would call dropped out of the labour force and not actively searching for work. And it can be really hard to get people back in if they've kind of been discouraged like that. And actually, the way the government's restart scheme works doesn't kind of pick those kind of people up and provide them with the help they might need.
Just to try to tie all of these thoughts together then, Jonathan, we know that there are skills shortages in certain areas. We know that an unspecified number of people are going to lose their jobs as furlough comes to an end. How difficult is it going to be to match people who are looking for work with those areas where we have those skills shortages?
It's that match is the key thing. Do the vacancies have the kind of similar skills and similar areas to the people who are looking for jobs? It's hard actually to get most people to move. Frankly, people often move early in their life, maybe in their 20s. Some people will move in their 30s looking for lower housing costs, but not many people move a long distance for work. So I think the key will be identifying ways of helping people retrain to find new work and new well-paid work as we go forward. That does seem to be the only real solution to any kind of mismatch between the types of jobs that are available and the types of skills that people have who are seeking them.
OK, Jonathan, thank you very much for that. Jonathan Cribb, Senior Research Economist at the Institute for Fiscal Studies.